Hello and welcome to Kickstarter Talk. My name is Rob Anderson, and today we're starting the show with a creator. Go ahead and introduce yourself, creator, and tell us a little bit about your Kickstarter.
Hey everybody, my name is Mark Schmidt, and I am one of the writers of The Threat. The Kickstarter we are running right now is for issue 5 of the series. The storyline is, we like to sum it up as if you took characters like out of Heroes, the TV show, and put them into a Judge Dredd or Minority Report kind of universe and set it in Houston, Texas. To give a little bit more detail about it, the economy around the world crashes. Corporations end up stepping in to kind of take control of different major metropolitan areas. For example, Apple might own San Francisco, and Cisco might own New York, and General Motors might own Chicago, just kind of as an example of the way that it works. Houston is run by a company called Anatech, which is a made-up company, of course, but in that, there's a guy who discovers that the human genome is degrading and it's causing a lot of death through what would seem like natural causes, cancer, heart failure, things of that nature. And he's able to, through recombinant DNA, reboot that human genome so that we're kind of back to where we should be, and people aren't dying from those things at such a high rate. However, what that does also end up doing is certain people are combined with plants or animals, so we start forming what end up appearing as mutations. You might have a guy who ends up with bear claws, or an elephant trunk, or has bark on his skin like a tree, things of that nature. So it's one small aspect of DNA combined with human DNA. So that kind of sums up where our story goes. And the main arc that we're running is a small group of people end up getting themselves into a situation where they're forced to be heroes. They don't necessarily want to be heroes, but they just through their actions end up being heroes, and kind of at odds with Anatech, the major corporation in Houston.
That sounds like a whole bunch of interesting. Just go over your team with us for a minute, because we have your team up on our page right now, and just give a shout out to everyone who's worked on it.
Sure. Vince Shooter, he's my writing partner on the book. He and I both have worked equally hard to get things up and running. He does a lot of the scientific background research. I kind of go through and edit him down a little bit and do a lot of the more production type work. But again, equally, both of us share the creative rights to it. We've got Ray Dillon, who is our artist on the book. He's done quite a bit of stuff. He's been in the industry for about 17 years now. He and his wife Renee just did the Legends of Wonder Woman comic. He's also doing a book called Gatekeeper, and they're both putting out a new book, which I think their Kickstarter actually launches tomorrow, for Lady Powerpoint. And then I've got William Anderson, who's been our longtime colorist. He came on board during the second issue and has been with us ever since. That's been about 5 years now, actually.
Oh, wow. That's a fantastic team. Is there anything else you want to tell our viewing audience about the Kickstarter before we go on to our next live guest?
No, it's running. I mean, really, everything's going to be on there. It's up and running for the next 30 days. It started today. We're looking for $5,000, at least $5,000, and go on there and check out all the rewards. There's some great stuff on there.
It really is. Like, I gotta say, I was very impressed by it. I like the fact that you did viral supporter, viral reader, viral enthusiast. I thought that was a cute little cut in there. It was great having you stop by and let everyone know about the Kickstarter. You'll have to come on and talk to us about Spoken Sins to tell us a little bit more in depth about the project and about yourself in the near future.
Will do.
All right, we're gonna move on to because I know there are a bunch of people joining us now. We have the Autistic Jedi. What would your official title be, Melissa?
Her mom.
Oh, her mom. Okay, we'll do that. I mean, there's nothing trumps mom, right? Nothing trumps mom. We have the Autistic Jedi's mom.
She is
on the
here.
show.
She is here.
Oh, very cool. What brings you on to Kickstarter Talk today?
I just thought I'd join you and talk to you a little bit.
Well, let's talk about the patches because we have the patches on every week on our Kickstarter list. We have them. We're all the way at the bottom. Excuse the fest for all I know. I hate it too. Support R4. There's the newest patch. I actually have to get one. I don't think I've ordered one yet. Every week I mean to do it, and I'm always rushing out doing something with Jax. But tell us a little bit about the patches and your big news for those people who haven't actually heard of it yet.
Oh, the big news. Yes, we, the Autistic Jedi and R4 were selected as featured guests for Magic City Con. It was announced, I believe, about a week ago, maybe not even quite a week ago. But I got the email and I was ecstatic. I said, oh God. So what I'm actually doing today, I'm working on stuff for the fan table and stuff like that. So,
well, what do they have to look forward to at the fan table? And Magic City is in Alabama, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Magic City Con is in Birmingham, Alabama. You can go to magiccitycon.com to get information, get tickets. They also have a Kid Con, and I'm not 100% sure how they're going to be doing that this year. So you can go there and get information for that also. The fan table, we're gonna have some drawings. We're going to have the patches, of course. We'll have all the patches. We'll have all the decals. We are going to auction off a helmet, and I'm not revealing what helmet it's going to be because we're prop builders through Crossworks Props. We're going to be auctioning off a helmet. I will not reveal the helmet until probably a week before. So we're hoping this is really, really, really going to be huge. And R4 will be there, and the Autistic Jedi will be there at least one day. Hopefully I can get her there another day.
Well, that sounds like it's going to be awesome. Is that a 2-day? I forgot. Excuse me.
I believe it's a 3-day. I believe it's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, we're going to get to the list. You're more than welcome to stay and join us for the list. We're gonna start it up and tell everyone about the Kickstarters they can find this week. We're going to start off with Tommy. What if your imaginary friend was a serial killer? Tommy is a creation by two great creators. We're going to get into that as we go deeper, because this week we're not going to make it shorter like we did in the last week. I hated it, and so did you guys. Everyone got back to me and wanted the longer formats. The longer format is back. Just as the reason that this is a great thing as far as a Kickstarter goes is it kind of makes fun of everything. Nothing is off limits. And if you have a sense of humor and you like things that kind of take chances and make fun of even the most of basic things, stay tuned to see more about this. We just talked about the R4, supporting the R4 and the Autistic Jedi. With this patch shows your support for autism, not only research, but in this case, it's actually awareness. We have to do a better job of explaining exactly what autism is and how it affects both us as humans and as families. This is the type of program that does perfectly with that. They work closely with Melissa. You're still on. What's the official name of the? I know you work with a particular program. What's the name of that program?
Well, I work with two of them really. I work with Autism Speaks, and I also work with Mitchell's Place out of Birmingham.
Right.
Yeah, I do a lot of close work with them.
So when you're getting a patch like this, you guys are actually being part of uh,
Yes,
a bigger following, if it were, and a bigger
yes.
group than just one person, one thing. And the cool thing about the R4 unit is it's going, as you just heard, to different events throughout the year to build that awareness. There's nothing like something very cute and very, fun to look at, like an R4 unit, to actually build awareness, because it gets people interested, and it's not pitching to people, but it's showing people that you can make a difference even with the simplest gestures.
Very, very, very true. Because this one is really, really close to us. Because the guy that designed this patch, and at the moment his name totally escapes my mind. This is the closest depiction of Tori holding R4 that we could get. So that this one's really close to us, because he took a picture of Tori and made it as close as he could.
Well, I mean, I've said it since day one. I think it's a fantastic patch. So definitely take the time and get a patch. And if you're in Alabama, it's a great time to actually see R4 and take a picture of R4.
Yes.
And give it to writtensins.com, and we'll put it on our site, and we'll showcase you meeting R4. And every dollar counts. We talk about this every week. And just like with the R4 campaign, where a patch does make a huge difference, so does even a dollar. A dollar spent on any Kickstarter that we go over today means that you show confidence in that creator and that creative team. So every dollar does count, no matter what you think. So skip a coffee and back 2 or 3 Kickstarters and help them build a fan base. Okay, we have Float, a graphic memoir about anxiety. Now, this is pretty cool. This is from my friend Howie. Howie, I'm forgetting his last name, but Howie's a great creator. And we're going to go over it more. He talked about it very honestly in this Kickstarter. He's talked about how his anxieties have affected him and what that has meant. And this is a story told from that point of view. We have Cyberpunk Robin Hood comic book, Robin Hood Eon's Edge, which is touted to be someone has been stealing from the elites in capital and giving it to the poor in England. So for those who don't know, Cyberpunk is like a Dungeons and Dragons game, but it deals more with technology versus dragons and magic. So it's actually a very complicated world, and it's one of those dice playing games where you roll to see what winds up happening after you pick a path. Thunder Chickens is from another good friend of mine, William. William did this father and son relationship, and there's even a grandfather involved. So it's like a father, son, grandson type of mix going on. And it's about 3 different chickens at 3 different parts in their crime fighting life. One is ready to pretty much call it quits. Another one is in the middle of it and wondering if they still want to keep going. And while the other one is younger and wants to become as good as both of the generations ahead of them. Stay tuned. We're going to go over that more in just a few minutes. Moving on, we can never forget to support our veterans. And yesterday, with Memorial Day being here, I can't think of a better time to pause and talk about it. Remember, veterans give a lot. They give not only their lives, but they also sometimes have to come back to us with missing limbs, sometimes mental issues, sometimes damage that we not necessarily can see. So it's very important that we support veterans because of what they give up to keep us safe and to keep our freedoms going. So make sure you always check in with the Veterans Wife program and see if there's something you can do to help out. Ninja Boy 2 Life After Death, still churning away on Kickstarter, doing great. Last time we talked about it, it was doing very well. This is my favorite character right here, this little small thing right here. I keep forgetting his name, but it makes me giggle every time I see it. We have Mitch Bird's Unearthed Volume 1. Now, remember, this is Barry Gregory is very much behind this. It's a great tale. It's about dinosaurs. It's a B movie with $1 billion budget. We're going to go over it in just a few minutes. So if you're looking for this video later, know that that's number 9, so you can skip on ahead. Pigtails is a martial arts action comic book in black and white, because why not? Black and white is awesome. I still like some of the original black and white movies that I watched growing up. I remember actually sometimes they were better than the ones in color because they don't always rely on colors to draw you in. This is when Sue's parents are murdered, and she uses her martial arts training and her beauty to find out who's behind their deaths. So she's not just beautiful, but she's also killer with her abilities. So we're going to check that out more in just a minute. We still have this, which is the stretch goals. This is Indinguous. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, but this is a Kickstarter that has gotten to the point where it's doing stretch goals. We're going to take a look at it, see how far it's gotten since last time we looked at it last week. Children is Sing. This is an awesome, and I don't understand it. With us being written sins, of course, we're going to take some time and talk about this. This is from a creator I know, Brian Emery-Vale. Great guy. All the guys on this are actually very talented, and we're going to take a look at exactly how that is. We have to talk about a 100 pages of 16 stories of remarkably dark tales of terror. This is from a very creative person who we're going to talk about in a few minutes. And she gives me some of the best stuff. We're asking this year, are you one of us? And we were just at MegaCon in Orlando asking all the people we met, are you one of us? And what does are you one of us mean this year? Well, last year, as many of you know, we asked all the creators that we could, are you one of us? Meaning, are you a creator who stands for something new, who stands for something outside of the reboot culture? Now, this year, we're not just asking if you're a creator who's one of us. We're asking the fans, are you one of us? Are you someone who is always trying to find content in something that's not just retold? Like something like The Untold. The Untold #1 and #2, which both are available on this Kickstarter, is a horror comic series that combines the psychological unrest with striking visual gore to create a truly terrifying experience. And it is drawn by Chris Madd. It is written by Danielle Faraday. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. This is one of the Kickstarters I've been looking forward to for months now, since we covered it last time. And the last time we covered it, just give me 1 second.
We're live. He's doing the
Sorry, I had the front door.
Kickstarter.
That doesn't happen on CNN. No one rings the front door on CNN. There you go. All right, so we're going to talk about Tommy. Tommy is the thing we talked about before. It's our pick of the week. Tommy is about what if your imaginary friend was a serial killer, and Tommy is, we're going to get into it because you have to see some of the visual arts, and it'll make a lot more sense exactly why I'm so excited about. So we're going to be there in just 1 minute. And we were just talking to Mark about this. This looks fantastic. I mean, if he didn't sell you, I don't know if I can sell you any better, but I will try. And our final and newest add-on to the list is Angelica Reigns. This is a spinoff of SFC, that the wrestling, SFC Comics. This is one of those spinoffs from the wrestling thing that we were talking about. This is the story about Angela trying to establish the life outside of the shadows of her mother's cult and Quaker's power. She's a young woman in a new city making new connections. All of that is put on hold when she becomes prey of a secret society called the Faith. They are faceless, timeless, and secret organization with roots that go back to the Crusades. Their mission to bring purity back to the world. They have ways to track and monitor dark magic, and they're after Angelica. We're going to go more into that in a minute, but because we still have Melissa with us, Melissa, you're the first person I can actually ask, what do you think of the pitches that I just gave? And some of these Kickstarters are new. Which ones really drew your attention? What made you go, wow, that looks great?
I like this design. Really, I like it a lot. I think it's the images that you put up to attract attention is what really gets people.
I do agree with you on that. I think sometimes the art itself can sell a comic book better than any word can. And in this case, we have some great artists that are actually on the Kickstarters this week. I mean, we're going to talk about them in detail as we go. And I think, to me, the one that impressed me the most out of it all, I mean, I already have Tommy. For those who don't know, Tommy has already been released, and we'll jump in with Tommy right now. Tommy is, and if you guys can see it now, you see you have the imaginary friend. So the imaginary friend is a bunny, and the bunny itself, you can't tell. And as you're going through this story, you can't tell if the bunny is imaginary and the kid has problems, or if the actual kid is the one that's doing things. And pivots back and forth, but bad things basically happen to Tommy, and either he's found this guardian or this part of him is making him do these things. Now, what I think is funny about it, and it always makes me laugh, is how they've marketed it, because they've marketed it using this isn't even doing them justice if you get to see them at an actual Kickstart, at an actual event, but you get to see these cool art covers that they do, and they do a lot of variant ones like the Tricks Bunny. It's very cool. Yeah, it's very clever. I was very impressed, and they do so many more that kind of take on pop culture, and I always think it's fun because we all go to Comic-Con conventions and we all see people doing weird things with characters that are pre-established, and there's nothing wrong with that, but a lot of times they're not that fun. They're just a ripoff of someone else's idea. I gotta give the credit to these creators because they push the envelope. The creators themselves, I'm gonna try to see if they're actually listed here because I know them. They're one of the first people on this. They aren't actually listed for some reason with pictures. This is okay. Here we go. Tommy was born of a brainstorm session, meaning pizza and beer, between John Ulloa and Juan Navarro, talking about their childhood and how awesome but also rotten it was. Raised in the 70s and 80s, it was a different time, and teachers were a different thing. Nothing is worse than being a kid and not being heard. So this became a story that for a few years has been loved by so many. It's true. I've actually read it and I've loved it. And if they ever need a review done of it, I'll do a review. It is really well written. Like, I got to give them a lot of credit. Like, you see this and you think it's like a big haha funny, and it for the most part it is actually very funny. But there's a deeper story here that really is being told. And I mean, Melissa, like, when you see parodies like this, do you often think of things like that?
No, not really.
Like, you don't think of anything from your childhood that you'd like to make fun of, or see something that you wanted to kind of make, even if you liked it? Like, He-Man was a big one for us. Like, I always like when they make fun of He-Man because I think it can be really funny.
Well, Transformers, but I don't know how you would make fun of Transformers. That's really the only, I mean, other than, the girly shows and everything, nobody wants to hear about that.
Well, Transformers, I think you could make fun of by them, like, having parts fall off and putting on the wrong part and transforming the wrong way. Like, Bumblebee loses a door and he puts on the wrong size door, so every time he tries to transform, he can't transform and he keeps getting beat. Yeah, and there are other ways I'm sure you could do it that I won't say because I don't want to make anyone upset. But there are other ways. But that is Tommy. And trust me, I've read this, and this is something that, even though I haven't been asked to review it, I can tell you that I would instantly approve it. I do think it had strong writing, and I do like challenging stories, and this is a story that challenges you because there are moments where it's funny and there are moments that really makes you think. So definitely join this crusade. I'm already a backer, as you can see. I already have the comic books, so I only did the digital bundle, but I mean, literally, I already have them. So that tells you how much I'm behind this project, and we're going to be talking about this a lot in the next coming weeks. Now, Float, I know Melissa is going to get a kick out of this. The one thing, his last Noel, Howie Noel. Now I remember, right when I was going to go look for his name. Check this. Can you see the screen, Melissa?
Yeah.
Check out the, it looks like an alien taking a pill. And the minute I saw this illustration, it really sold me for this project because I think that's so true. We take pills nowadays and they don't make us feel better. They just change us slightly. And I thought that was a very big moment in something like this. And I'm sure dealing with the autistic Jedi, there's some stressful moments for you, isn't there?
Yeah. Because, I have health issues as well. And the medicines, they do that. I mean, but I think it's a never ending, it's just a cycle. There's no changing it. I mean, you have a choice.
Yeah. And I think that they need to stop calling them side effects and just call them effects at this point.
Yeah. I agree.
I mean, I was very hyperactive to the point where I was one of the first kids put on Ritalin. And I was put on a severely heavy dose. They started off real light and gave me the maximum dose. And it never helped me, just body chemistry and all that. But I can tell you, it's the things that it does to you aren't always necessarily good. And like you said, sometimes it is important that you be on medication. I'm not trying to say medication.
Oh no,
flat out.
I just think it's a cycle, you know, that you can't break. You know, you take one medicine and then you have side effects, so you take another one to make those side effects go away. That's what I'm talking about. It's just it's never ending.
Yeah, and I think that especially in our generation, we've almost gotten to this point where, and I think this is like a dangerous point, and I don't know if you'll agree with me on this. It seems like people think that you just take a pill and you're going to be fine from now on, and that's not always the case. You know, it's not just go take a pill and you're going to be okay. And I think that's why projects like this are very important. And I'm sure you know that because we've talked about it. A lot of people know about my back issues, and we've discussed issues that you've gone through. And I'm not going to talk about them on here because they're not for me to talk about. But I know that you understand like about my pain and all that, and we've talked about it. Sometimes there's no pain medication that's actually going to make it better.
Nope.
You know.
Some days are worse than others. Some days it'll help, and then other days it doesn't.
Yeah, and other days it just makes it all worse because of, like you said, the side effects. So that's why I think projects like this where you can actually, and I know talking with you, it makes me feel better. I'm sure you feel the same way when you talk to someone you can relate to. And when Howie gives this book to you that you can relate to, I think a lot of people can feel very connected to it because I think we all go through anxiety. I don't, if someone tells me they're not going through anxiety at one point,
they're lying.
They're lying. Yeah. I would be scared of them because I think they're lying, you know.
Yeah.
And if they were like a captain of a ship or something like that, I would definitely get off that plane real quick.
Me too.
That is, I'm just trying to get back. I lost it at the moment. There we are. I lost one of my screens. Let me put the screen back up. Okay. That's Float, and that's why I think it's so powerful. And how he's gone on the record, and to credit to him, he's been very open when he makes appearances about his own anxiety. And in this day and age where people pick you apart on social media, I think a lot of credit's got to be given to him for being so honest and so unafraid of that.
I agree.
And to his credit, I mean, the last time we checked, and I didn't look at it yet, we're going to look at it right now. Yes, he's raised $13,000. He's got 15 hours to go, but he only paid for $4,000. So that shows support. Yeah, I mean, really, like you said, fantastic. I mean, this is just absolutely amazing. And I thank everyone who's watched the show and backed it from our show or shared it from our show, because I know after this, some people share the videos, and we are appreciative of that. So that's Float. Robin Hoods, did you ever hear of Cyberpunk growing up, Melissa?
No. Cyberpunk. Come on. What? Great. Yeah, Cyberpunk. Did you remember hearing Cyberpunk when you was growing up?
No.
No.
It's like Dungeons and Dragons. You guys have heard of Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Yeah.
No, I sure haven't.
For those who don't know, that's actually Christopher in the background. He's actually a very accomplished creator of props. Would you call them props or facsimiles? Because you really take them to the next level.
Thank you.
Like, I don't know if I'd call it a prop. I've seen some of the videos you post online, and you just had that big event where you were all creating stuff.
Tori's calling him, sorry.
No, that's okay. I have a little boy, and when he calls, everything stops. And the videos, my past videos, they've seen it where it's like, okay, guys, gotta go. Jax is calling. But you were at that event where you guys were making those what were you casting? A weapon, right?
Yes.
So here while I go see what she needs.
Oh, she's talking to Oscar, babe.
Oh,
I'll hear your dad.
Okay, go ahead and sit.
Yeah, we're making a bunch of movie props / video game props.
And just for the people who are watching us and who watch us later, just give them the shout out to your site so they can actually see what you do.
You can get it's on Facebook, Price Works Props, or you can look up Christopher Works.
And he is actually the architect of the R4 unit, right? You were the one who came up with the design specs for the front of the robot, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and that was for those of you who were actually backed the campaign from us and shared it, which I'm sure Chris and Melissa both appreciate all the shares we got to get that to be built, because that was awesome. How is that going? How's the trip around the con circuit been so far?
Oh, it's been really, really busy. We're supposed to go do a birthday party for a little boy. He's turning what, 17. He's autistic, but you need to see some of his artwork. His artwork is amazing. He did a Bubba Fett. It's so detailed, it's almost like it was done by a computer.
Oh wow, that, you know what, the artists nowadays, it really is the next level. These kids coming up now versus what we were seeing back in even the 80s and 90s. Like, I am so impressed. And obviously, you know, I love working with you guys and helping spread the word about it. We're just sitting down talking about Kickstarters today. Was there a cartoon you were growing up, Chris, that you would like to see parodied now? Because we were talking about Tommy that does parodies of things.
Oh, I would love for them to bring back G.I. Joe.
You know, I heard they're actually trying to bring that back. The last one they didn't do so well. It was Renegades, I think.
Yeah, it was Renegades, yeah.
But I actually did hear there was something in the works, and The Rock is supposed to be doing the next movie soon.
Yeah.
So you might get your wish, because, you know, anytime there's a movie, suddenly there's a
cartoon.
There's a cartoon and 10,000 action figures that no parent can afford to buy. But back to the list, Robin Hood's Eon's Edge is actually Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk was a roll dice game. You would roll the dice, and you would have these characters that had mods on them. They would be part robot. It was like, then this game was taking place in the 90s before we really knew as much as we know now with nanotechnology and all that. It really did, at the time, set up a lot of creators. Like, when I talk to creators and we talk about things that we did growing up, the one thing I do hear a lot about is playing Cyberpunk, because it was really one of those games that was awesome. So, I mean, and you can see on the display right here on these big jacked up behemoth people, that would be like arms that would be implanted into people to make them even bigger, and they're all robotic. But you'd have to, and the cool thing about the game was, like, you'd have to have a robotic spine, because if you didn't have a robotic spine, you could wind up killing your own character if you used your power too much. And I thought that was interesting that the game took that into consideration. It's already made its goal, so that's Robin Hood Eon's Edge. Thunder Chickens. Now this one's funny. This is from what, remember I said William. He goes by Bill here. Blankenship. This is a fantastic comic book. This is like a throwback to the 1970s, 1980s cartoons that we used to watch. It seems very very innocent, but I'm sure as you read it and watch it, there's that adult humor that's laced into it. I actually have to read it and find out if it is actually all ages, because Will's got a good sense of humor, but he's also not afraid to tell a joke that might be dirty. So I'll have to ask him about it. But it is, like, you see the art behind it, the passion that's in it. And it's cool that it's a story that talks about 3 different generations and where you're at. So if you're young, if you're a little bit in the middle, or if you're towards the end of it, this campaign is for you. There are 13 hours to go with $1,000 to make. If we all share it now, just go to here, go to the share. We're going to do a live share right on Facebook right now as we're doing this. If you just hit share, you can make this project come to life. And wouldn't you like to see Thunder Chickens on Saturday morning cartoons? I would love to see Saturday morning cartoons come back. I miss Saturday. Even as an adult, I miss Saturday morning cartoons. Mark, are you still with us?
He's muted.
Yes, I am.
There you are, Mark. Mark's back with us. We were talking about, do you miss Saturday morning cartoons, Mark?
Oh, hell yeah. Used to love getting up every Saturday morning and just waiting for the good shows to come on.
And it used to be such a thing. Like, you would, all summer, you'd have to wait because there were no cartoons. It was all repeats. And you'd be so excited in the fall, because we're at that time right now where all of television's going to sleep. But now that we're on the 24/7, House of Cards, I think, came out today, right? Didn't House of Cards hit? Does anyone watch that show?
It did hit recently. I don't know exactly when, though.
Yeah, and I mean, for you, Chris, like, I mean, are you more of a fan of watching it on television or watching it on DVR? Have you switched over to the cut the cord mentality?
I'm still watching it on TV.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because, I mean, I have a lot of creator friends, and a lot of them are big jerks. And if I don't watch something the night something comes out, they're happy to ruin it for me. by the time I go on Facebook. And it hits you just all of a sudden because your friend posts something, you're trying to be a good friend, you start reading it, and it's not like they put spoiler. It's not like they say, hey, watch out, I'm going to talk about what just happened on The Flash. No, they're just like, hey, guess what? This just happened. Oh, well. And I hate Yahoo. I hate Yahoo because Yahoo does those titles where they give something away. It's like Yahoo hates comic books because every comic books and sci-fi, every one of their titles, it'd be like, guess what happened in Wonder Woman? Hint, hint, and they'll say it. You know what I mean? They ruin it.
I shall not be on Facebook from Thursday till Saturday.
Until you see it, right? You have to go on a Facebook block. I've been there. For Transformers, I'll wind up doing that because I don't want anyone to ruin Transformers for me. I want to see if I can see Wonder Woman when it comes out because I have so many comic book fans that will ruin it for me. Mark, do your friends ruin things for you? Is Mark with us? I think we've lost Mark. I think Mark went into the dead zone. It's okay, Mark. When you get back on, just let us know. All right, Ninja Boy, issue 2, Life and Death. This is actually an interesting take on it, and you can see it's a much different comic book. I'd love to actually talk to the creator about this. I was passed this on, I think indirectly, not even by the creator, but by a fan of it. They asked me to cover it, but the art, like right here, the interior art, this moment right here, is absolutely stunning. Like I see art, like we were just talking about this, Christopher, how the kids nowadays are doing things that we haven't seen, like in the comic books that we have. And I really got to give credit to indie comics for that, because the art that gets shown in indie comics, I think, goes above and beyond Marvel and DC at times.
I really like that right there.
Right? That could be like, that could hang in a museum somewhere.
That's cool. That's cool looking.
Yeah, and you don't expect to see that. And there's a huge amount of story behind this. And I mean, this little guy, I've got to know his name. Well, I'm not going to try to find it now, but I want a plush figure of him. I think that'd be really cool to have. I mean, just the art in this. If you want a reason to back it, forget the story. Don't even read
The
this.
artwork is fantastic.
Just flip through it. They should actually do a book without. Yeah, Mark said his app is crashing. Yeah, that's the one reason I don't go through the app for Google Hangouts. They kind of suck with their app if you don't have a strong signal. So Mark will be back as soon as he can. But the art, like Melissa was saying, like, oh my God, is this beautiful? I could read this without words the first time.
Yeah, no words, just pictures.
And like make up the story in my own mind. You know, it's ironic. I'm actually talking about with one of my artists that we're working on Wild Space that's coming out soon. We talked about doing, and we might still be doing, a project where we don't use a single word. And we just tell it. Yeah, because he's got such stunning, like, he's got such great styles in the way that he draws. Like the things that you guys are going to see for the Wild West version of Wild Space, because that's exactly what it is. It's the Wild West in space. The way he does the art is so fantastic. I'm like, dude, we could do it without words. And he's like, well, how would you write that? And I'm like, I just write for what you want to see on the page, and you do it. And I'm telling you, it'll be good. So that's something. But in this book itself, like there's no words, and I'm already getting what they're saying because the artist is doing such a great job. And credit to the writer too, because it takes the writer to write these scenes for it to come to life. So that's not a dig on the writer, and that's not a dig on the story itself. That's just credit to how good the art is.
I love these little people.
Yeah, the little guy with the little, and it's by Ali Gazara. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that name wrong. You guys could do a drinking game with the amount of names I pronounce wrong. It's just unfortunately something I've never been good at. It takes me forever to get a name. Once I get it, I get it. But this is just an amazing Kickstarter, and it's something good back. And like I said, I think they're already funded, but that doesn't mean you don't. And we go over this every week, because I think that there's this idea that once a project hits the money they need, you don't have to back it, and you can get it.
They don't,
Yeah, and that's not the case. That's not the case at all. Because also you got to remember, sometimes you're not going to get the Kickstarter rewards that you could get here. There are things that, and if Ninja Boy hits it and you missed out on it, you're going to feel like the idiot if you were a fan trying to wait for a convention.
Right.
Sometimes you get to a convention, and I was just at a convention, and I had people literally getting on Facebook Messenger going, I can't find you, Rob. And it does become like a maze. And I'm sure with Melissa, you've been going to these now with the R4 unit. It is like a maze in the Comic Cons, right?
It is. Well, now I'll just be honest with you. Magic City Con is going to be the first convention, so to speak, that he will be at.
No, but you've been to conventions with the Star Wars, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I know R4 is new. For those who don't know, R4 was just built like 3 months ago, right?
Something like that. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, R4 is brand new, but I know that you guys are big into Star Wars. I know you've been to conventions, and sometimes it is hard to navigate through a convention.
Yes.
It took me forever to find my own friends. Like, we were texting each other, "Where are you?" And we'd be like,
I know.
"Oh." And it was funny. It took me the last day of the actual con on Sunday. I realized that there was this giant pillar that I'd been staring at for 3 days that I hadn't told anyone that I could see from my table.
Right.
And I was like, hey, that could have been something I could have said. And then I started telling people that, and they're like, oh, I found you right away.
Well, I mean, there's so many people you can't see. There's things that you can't see.
Oh, that's very true. But here's something that everyone can see. It's Mitch Bird's Unearthed Volume 1. Mitch Bird is a fantastic artist, and as you see, the stretch goals are being unlocked now. For those who don't know, also, Barry Gregory, I mentioned his name earlier, and excuse me, Barry Gregory is I guess creator, or I don't know if it's creator when you open a business. He's the CEO or the person behind Kablam Printing, and for us comic book creators who are getting our comics printed and done by Kablam, we all know how much of a hero he is. So also backing projects like this is credit to him and all the hard work he's done. So if you want another reason besides the art in this, which by the way, this is another throwback to like an 80s, 90s style that I really miss nowadays. As good as the artists have become, sometimes the art nowadays, and I don't know if you follow comic books, Melissa, but sometimes the art you use today, it's very Magna and very the Japanese art style.
Yeah.
For some reason, I can't think of the name. The other one of it.
Anime?
And thank you. It's very anime style, and I was never a fan of anime style. I don't know why. I'm not saying it's horrible. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not a fan of it. But it's always nice to see the older stuff, and I love the pitch line. It's dinosaurs, monsters, a hollow earth, and an alien experiment way out of control. It's like a movie with $1 billion budget. And it's kind of true. Like, sometimes, and I don't know, I have a guilty pleasure, and I haven't had the time to do it. But Melissa, have you watched a lot of the B movies growing up?
The what movies?
The B movies, like the cheaply done ones. Like the big one was the Sharknado. It doesn't have a huge budget.
No, because I never was interested in it, sadly.
Oh, it was horrible, but it's so bad that it's good. And sometimes that's the great thing about B movies. But unlike a B movie, this actually looks very interesting.
It does look interesting. Oh, I like that. That.
The Star Wars, right? The Star Wars flag right there. Yeah, and this is a fantastic creative group. I'm trying to see. I think that there was a credits page to actually talk about it, or I might have saw it on Facebook, just about how much that this creator, Mitch Bird, has been part of in his career, and I thought it was interesting. It must have been on Facebook, unfortunately, but I mean, this is a fantastic project either way, and you guys should be part of it.
I love that.
Moving on, this is Pigtails, and the wife actually made the project made this colored version. This needs a little bit. It's got 5 days to go. It needs a little bit of love. It needs to be shared a lot. I know a lot of people get turned off by black and white sometimes because. And the rule of comic books is sometimes black and whites are done to save money on printing costs, which is true. But sometimes, we're doing the Wild Space in black and white because it's a Western. And I kind of when I think of Westerns, I think of John Wayne. And I don't know about you, Melissa, but I hate the John Waynes that were colored. Where they colorized them. Not necessarily the ones that were shot in color, the original color that was back then, but the ones that they went back and put.
Back to, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it ruined it for me. So sometimes, I mean, black and white can be a good thing. And when you look at the creative team,
I like the black and white. I do.
It's like when you watch Miracle on, not Miracle, what is that one? The famous Christmas one. It's a Wonderful Life. When you watch It's a Wonderful Life colorized, it bothers me.
No.
like, I think it loses part of its magic the minute they put color in it, and I don't like. I can't watch it. I refuse to. I have to watch black and white. We own the disc. We bought the disc because for too many years now they've been showing the color one on USA. So we got the original black and white, and it's expensive. It is the most expensive DVD you will buy.
Yeah.
You will never find it on sale.
No.
It always like, and we got the Blu-ray. It was like $35 to get the Blu-ray, and it was worth it. So when you're talking about black and white, don't discredit it. I mean, you got to look at it as a whole picture, and this is looks like a fantastic story. I have to still back it. I'm bad for not backing it myself. But you do these programs, and the minute I get off the program, I have Jax yelling in my ear usually. So
Yeah.
he's gotten tired of being in a room because if he's out here, we'll hear as he runs by. And then
No, Chris,
his new thing is to shake the camera.
no, Chris is working on top secret armor, and he was showing me pictures and stuff. Sorry.
That's okay. You can show it to us. I promise we'll only show.
No.
We'll just show 17,000 people. It's not a lot of people. This is the Stranger Things meets the Fog. It's another B horror movie classic. It got funded. It's got almost 4,000 in the bank, 175%. Really great creative team, though. I just want to take, if you want a reason to back this particular Kickstarter, the co-creator Kelly Bender is a perfect read. Adam Ferris, for those who don't know, is a name up and coming who's really doing great things. You got Brenton Mathena. You got Angel Lidon. I think it's Lidon. He's in a lot. Like, I see his name becoming around everyone. He's from Barcelona, Spain, and I love that about comic books nowadays, that there are no borders when it comes to creation, and I think that's fantastic. You got Mika Myers and Matt Kelly. Matt Kelly is actually from my hometown, Long Island. I actually want to see if I can meet Matt Kelly in New York Comic Con. I hope he's there. This is a throwback to the 1980s horror films. So if you're into 1980 horror films, early 90s horror films, this is definitely a Kickstarter for you. But if you want to just back it because of the creative team, no one would blame you. This is a great bunch of creators. I want to go on and talk about the Children of Sin Magnum print. Now, we talked about how great Brian is. And remember, Melissa, we were talking about how great art was and how important it is?
Yeah.
This is one of those artists who absolutely does that. Check this out. We killed it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, the art in this is stunning. Brian, to his credit, has turned me on to who will be an artist that I'll be working with heavily in the next couple months. So I owe Brian for that. But I mean, the art, like you see, the art is done in such a beautiful fashion.
Yeah.
This is one of those projects, and we're actually going to spend some time tomorrow talking about it on a separate video. And I'm going to see if I can try to maybe get Brian. I know Brian's in Hawaii. I don't know what time differences we're on, if there are any at all. But I'm going to reach out to him and see if I can't have him on the program and talk about it. It's just one of those things with the art, and for some reason, it's not getting the love it deserves. I've already backed it, obviously, because I really love the art, and I'm a big. When it comes to the art, like, I look at it this way, and I think everyone needs to look at it this way. If a writer is investing in someone to do art that is this beautiful, and I could tell you from my work when I did the Fetish Babies campaign, and we had Satane join us, the art was so stunning that as a writer, you go back and you make your writing better. We reached out and made sure that we talked to our editor, and we were like, no, hit us, tell us how to make it better, because you have to. And with this, I mean, the art in this is just, I mean, we're going to move on because we've been on for, I think, an hour almost, but we're going to talk more about this tomorrow. And we're definitely going to get into this because I think everyone's missing this boat, and I don't know why. So tomorrow I'm actually going to go over in depth everything about this project because I think it deserves that kind of white glove treatment, as they say. Two of horror. Okay, remember I talked about the great creator behind this. Now, the great creator is actually a woman, and I believe she's part of this. I'm actually going to go down here, and this part right here, this bothers me a little bit, but as an artist, I understand it. That's a bad teddy bear, but he's so cute. And I don't know how to feel about that because he menacingly says, follow me, we're having a picnic and you can join in. And you know it's a horror film, horror book, so you know that can't go well.
No.
That's like when the aliens say, "Come have dinner with us," and they don't mean with us. They mean you're going to be dinner. So I'm very bothered by the cute teddy bear because it gives me nightmares about it. But on the same breath, this looks like it's going to be, and I'm not a big horror person, but when it's done right, I think it's fantastic. And I mean, what do you think of it? This is the first time you're seeing this, right, Melissa?
Yeah, I don't think I've seen this on the site before. It's interesting.
You know what it reminds me of? Remember Tales of the Crypt back when it was good?
That's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah, this reminds me
Crypt.
of that. Like, oh man, and the creator herself is named Kim Robertson. I didn't see the section while we were flipping through about the creators.
I like the variant in that.
Which one? The
Friday the 13th and all that.
Oh yeah, this one right here, like part 3. Like I love the fact that they did that, and they've got the what is his name?
That's Chainsaw Massacre.
Thank you. Yeah. And I mean, this looks like it's going to be scary. I hope that not only when they get funded, of course I want them to get funded, but I hope this comes out in time for Halloween, because I would love to do this for Halloween. This has that Halloween vibe that you want to sit around with your friends and just read it.
Sure to see this one. This one's cool looking. You like it?
And I actually see this story right here. I've read this. And I can't talk a lot about it, but I've actually read this story, and it is fucking awesome. Like, I was like at the edge of my seat reading it. I was like, oh my God, that is so freaking cool. So I'm so thrilled to see it come to light, because this is really, and you see, I am the caretaker.
I like that.
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely, if you're going to back a Kickstarter that's about horror this year, this is it. And I'm so thrilled to say that they've hit their goal. So obviously that's very awesome. Congratulations to Swampline. We're going to continue to talk about it. There's 12 days to go. We can get it a higher than 39 backers. So what we're going to do right now to help them with that while we're live on the show is I'm going to share it. So I encourage everyone who sees this on my page today to share it, even if you don't want to back it for $1 and maybe you don't have enough money, or you just, we all got situations, but a share is free. Remember that. Shares are always free. And speaking of Untold, now Chris Madd I've worked with in the past, and I want to work with again, has, when we're talking about art, this is like the Kickstarter.
That's creepy.
Right? But like,
that's creepy.
The shadowing, the skills, and the little bit of red on her collar, the way it calls, it's just fantastic. The art really is next level on this project. So this is, again, one of those projects where if you want a reason to back it, Chris Madd. The way he draws, the way he's bringing this to life. Chris Madd. Okay, George is back. George, he's backing the Tomb of Horror too. George actually is a great guy. For those of you guys who don't know, you need to check out what George is doing. George A. Alvarez. He's in my chat right now on Facebook. Go click his stuff, see what he's doing. I actually got to meet George and hang out with him. So that was awesome. The Untold, to get back to this, and the art, like, I mean, even if you're not into horror, the skill level of this, and they have some variant covers by Carl Jones, and you got a variant cover by John McCary, I think. I don't know. But my favorite has got to be the Chris Madd cover with the teddy bear. Going back to the teddy bears, we were just
I like that.
Bears, like you see that.
But still, that's disturbing. It's interesting and disturbing at the same time.
Exactly. And George, with Comics Unknown, for those who don't know. Are you going to be, you're welcome, George. Are you going to be doing a review of The Untold? Is that something that's going to be coming out? Because, I mean, this story really looks, and once again, I wouldn't call this a horror. I know that they dub it as a horror. I would call this a psychological thriller from what I've seen about it and read about it. It's about a woman who's dealing with, and I'm going to give the pitch because their pitch is like very well worded. And that's credit to the creator himself, Daniel Faraday, who I am working with on something that I can't talk about. But from what the working with him I can do is I can tell you that he's a very dedicated creator, and he is someone that takes his craft very seriously. And I think that's always very important. Untold, for those of you who have not heard my pitch reading this out loud yet, is Untold One was successful, funded in 2016, thanks to the amazing support from 146 backers. We're offering anybody who has missed out the first round an opportunity to grab a copy of issue 1 within this Kickstarter. Daniel Faraday has woven a tale of terror that feels like it could have been handed down through the ages. Now, this is from Ebson Ebelison, Grun from the Outside Cube. It goes on. There are a lot of people who have read about, like comicbook.com said, not that I dislike horror, it's just not my favorite, which I would agree with. But the Untold has turned me into a fan of suspense horror, which again goes back to me not necessarily want to classify it as horror, because I think it's more than horror. I really think that calling it horror, because I mean, I don't know about you, Melissa, but when I hear horror, do you sometimes think that this is going to be a weak story?
Yeah.
Right? You think it's going to rely on gore and it's going to be more about suspense and making you scared.
Right.
Like Rob Zombie. Every time Rob Zombie does a horror film, like it's not really a horror film. It's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And that's what I think you got here. I think you have a Rob Zombie-esque type of story that is like a rock star story. And they are so close to being funded. Credit to them within the first week. But I know that there are fantastic stretch goals in this campaign. I know because I've talked to Daniel. So he's a great creator. I mean, he's across the pond, as they say. And he's working, once again, see, there are no borders in creation. He's working with Chris Matt, who's from my hometown, New York City, who me and Chris Matt are still anxiously awaiting to find out if we'll be sharing a table at New York Comic Con. We are hoping that we will be teaming up for a table at New York Comic Con. How cool would that be?
Nice.
And of course, if we go there, we'll bring some R4 stuff to help the campaign. Speaking of R4, do you have a list of things that you're doing this year? Have you gotten to that point, or is it one con at a time?
We're doing one con at a time. Actually, we're doing 2 at a time. We got Magic. Yeah, we're working on Magic City Con, and then there's another one in Montgomery, Alabama, Gump City Con. So we're working on that one too.
All right, very cool. I know that from my experience with cons, it takes a lot to get used to. You have to build survival kits, and it is overwhelming for sure. But the Untold is one of those things that I will be taking time in the next couple of days to talk about more in depth, even though that they're so close to their goal and probably will be at their goal. This is really a project I believe in. For those who don't know, Untold issue 1 was one of the first Kickstarters we actually ran on the site. So after 1 year of sin, we can't help but go back for issue number 2 and make sure it gets all the love it can get. Speaking of getting love, The Threat, which has only got $54, but it just started today, so that's not a big thing. That's just a usual thing. You just hit start now. This is our friend was on it just a few minutes ago, Mark. He was trying to reconnect with us. I guess he couldn't get the connection to go through. But this looks fantastic. I don't think I could sell it any better, but just the idea that corporations own cities. I mean, they already own New York City. They just have, not just one of them owns it, a whole bunch of different ones. The idea of just one owning it, it reminds me of stadiums. I mean, are you a fan of sports, Melissa?
Oh, yes.
Does it bother you that the teams' stadiums are no longer named after the teams? Like, that really bothers me.
Yes. And
I was a fan of the Mets, and that was named Shea Stadium after the family. And I always understood that it was never Mets Stadium, but it didn't bother me because it was at least about the family involved. It really bothers me that people put their names on it. So I do think it'd be interesting to see, like, in this world, what happens to cities like New York City. Would it still be New York City, or would it be New York City presented by Apple? Like, would you have to?
I agree.
And if they took over a city, it'd be like mandatory Apple, like Verizon wouldn't be allowed in that city.
Right.
But I mean, just in that looks fantastic. We're going to be talking about this a lot because there's 29 days to go, but that's definitely something to check out. Now, this is our last one on the list. So I've known about this one for 2 years almost now. I've been talking to Markel Dupree. For those who don't know, is the architect behind the Evolutionine masterpiece of their studio or productions company, I should say. And this has been a very big passion project. For those who don't know, he's the one behind Delia Blast, which successfully funded just a few weeks ago. Fantastic thing. He's not mentioned in the story, but I definitely know that his fingerprints are on it. he's definitely been part of it. And we're going to have him on the show to talk about it. Spoken Sins in the next couple days. We're going to get together with the team, and I can tell you I've seen the production stuff coming from it. And those who have read SFC or who are getting it now from the Kickstarter because it's going to start shipping will understand more about Angelica Reigns and how fantastic a character she is. We're going to have on Brian. I'm drawing a blank, but it's okay because he'll be on in a second as I'm getting to it. There's here it is, Brian Hawkins. Thank you. I thought I had it right. I'm glad I didn't blurt it out, but I was right. It was actually Brian Hawkins. He's going to be on the show with us. This is actually pretty cool because you can be drawn into a comic book. Melissa, would you want to be drawn into a comic book as a Kickstarter reward?
I think so. Yeah, I think it would be fun.
You know, it'd be funny if you actually had them draw in R4 AU. That would be kind of cool. So that's the kind of stuff you can get with this Kickstarter. And I think that, to their credit, they did a fantastic job with the actual add-ons and the things that you can get. I mean,
I think they did too. I like those.
Yeah, and I mean, I know Brian for a while now. Brian Hawkins is a great guy. He did the American Kingdom Kickstarter that basically, like, I mean, it was amazing the timing of it. And we talked about it. He didn't mean it to be the way it was. But with the hyper election system and how politics have gotten so big and large in this last year, as we've seen, he hit this thing where what if America was a kingdom instead of a democracy? And I think it's interesting to see the difference of how it really could have been for us. And the rest of the team behind this, I mean, you've got a bunch of great creators in this. And like I said, Markel's not listed here, but he is definitely part of it in the background, making sure it's shaped right. So for those who have backed Delia Blast and who like the SFC, understand he's actually a pretty creative guy, and know that he is somewhere behind here making sure this is going to be fantastic, just like everything else. And for this is kind of cool, the Mirror Edition for $500, you can become a major character between issues 2 and 4. Now, I don't know if in issue 4 your major character dies. I would doubt it. I would assume that this is a four issue miniseries, but that'll be something I'll ask Markel for those interested in it. But I would like to thank Melissa for joining us on the show today. Melissa, you have anything to say to the fans before we go? Because my Jax is yelling and I have to go.
Nope.
All right.
Say hello.
Very cool. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for Mark, who even the comp won't let me back in, but I'm here. Mark has been in the he said I'm still here a few minutes ago. I must have missed it. And George said he would do it. I have to make him reach out to Danielle so we can get the Untold reviewed. But I'd like to thank both of you guys for coming on the show. I think it was more fun this way, having not only someone to talk to and not just be my voice, but to actually explore the Kickstarters. What do you think, Melissa? Adding more time to talk about the Kickstarter makes it more real, right?
Yeah.
You know what? I think A&E should pick this up as a show, and we should have people like Melissa on every week to get her point of view.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I can't give a point of view because none of you guys will believe me because I run Written Sins and you think that I'm trying to be nice to everybody, which is true. I do definitely try to be nice, but Melissa's here to keep it honest. She was here to make sure that the fans were represented. So thank you for that. I do have to go, though. Jax is crying, and he's just woken up from his nap, and I think it's cranky time. Thank you all for joining us. Melissa, we'll talk soon about things, and have a great night, and make sure to spend at least $1 on a Kickstarter you saw today, if not more. Thank you all for joining us.